Hey there, Wargamers. Justin the Arm Painter here from Death Ray Designs, and you guys are tuning in for, I'm not even sure which episode this is of my vlog series, but we're pushing over 2 months of doing these now, I think. I've missed one day, so I think we're on episode 9 or 10. I guess it'd probably make sense if I actually checked that before I start recording, but I didn't, so we're going to start off and ramble anyway. So, for any of you guys who have followed me on Facebook, Twitch, or any of that stuff, you know that this past week, by the time you guys are watching this, I actually got to play a game of Warhammer 40k against Tim, the owner of our local hobby store, Kit Kringle. And it was a bit of a longer battle report, about 5-6 minutes short of 3 hours of actual film footage, or, well, output footage, actual gameplay. I think Tim was out here for 5.5 hours, 6 hours, somewhere in there, give or take. Basically a lot of coaching in between turns and a lot of help happening. So he gave me quite a few pointers and helped me out. And if you guys have not watched that battle report over on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, I'll drop some links below. Make sure you check that out. It is a little lengthy, but Tim knows his stuff. And he really helped me out with a lot of things. And one of the main things that I learned in our game recently was that rhinos for Space Marines are orc battering rams. That's what you do with them. You can transport minis, but you ram them into stuff. That's exactly what you do. And he showed me some tricks with those, which are very, very interesting. So moving forward, you guys should be seeing me face off against Nathan's Necrons again. Not much change on that front. I am trying real hard to not suck at Warhammer, but in more serious games, still struggling. When I play with Bob, our games are always really close. There's a lot of banter, a lot of fun. When I play with Nathan, not so much. I don't think he's necessarily bringing like cheese lists and trying to like stomp me into the dirt or anything, but I think unfortunately I'm personally approaching rapidly approaching a very different avenue that I am just going to have to go down when it comes to Warhammer, and it's actually more of like a crossroads. It's play more competitive crap and just play stuff I'm not interested in playing. Continue playing the fluffy stuff that I want and be more selective with who I play that with. Sorry, Nathan, but you're just a better player and your armies, your tactics, whatever, better. My fluffy stuff isn't going to work. Or I keep going straight and or take another path and whatever, and I quit really focusing much on Warhammer and start focusing on games like Infinity or Legion or something else that may draw more excitement for me. So if you guys have suggestions for things I can do or how to get me out of this tabletop funk, drop some comments below and let me know, because I am struggling. I mean, I got Tim to come out here and help me out and give me some pointers, and was real excited to turn around and play a game. Less than a week later, I got 2 battle reports filmed this last week. I was real excited to turn around and play with Nathan, and was hoping that it was the new skills and tactics would at least help a little bit, sort of. But by a little bit, we're talking like a little. So again, I am trying. I don't want to get to a point where I feel like I have to buy more models to be able to play with what I own, or as Nathan has suggested, he's like, you should just play Intercessors. I don't disagree. I realize that Intercessors for Dark Angels, or for Space Marines in general, are better than Tactical Marines. But the problem is, I've already painted Tactical Marines, right? For me to play with Intercessors, I gotta buy Intercessors, I gotta build Intercessors, I gotta paint Intercessors. And I paint really slow. And that's a band-aid. So now I'm having to buy models because my current models don't work. Why did I play with those? Why did I paint those models in the first place? You know what I mean? So one of the things I did in my game with Nathan recently, which you guys will see, I think Saturday it'll go up. It's coming Saturday. I dropped my plasma cannons and those 2 tactical marines that carry them to open up points to bring in some scout bikers, which is really good. So adjusting points within what I have, I'm okay with. Simply shelving what I have and not playing with it, for me personally, is ludicrous, because I've had to do this so often. I'm in such a weird position when it comes to Warhammer, because I'm always behind the curve, or whatever the statement is. So for example, in 7th edition, I was losing 80, 90, 99% of my games. I was getting obliterated. And I'm not stupid. I played reasonably well in 5th and 6th edition, and there were some things that factored into 7th edition for Warhammer that were hard for me to deal with. Rules bloat, and dealing with all the formations that kept coming out and all the data slates, and there's that. But my army was built for 5th edition. That's when I started, back when I'm Ultramarines. And Tim from Kit Kringle said, Justin, here's my suggestion on how you can improve. I think you really should embrace using Grav. So I didn't go out and make Grav Bikers, but I did make Grav Devastators. I bought Centurions. I hated the fact that I felt like I needed to buy Grav Centurions. I hate that model. If you like Centurions, that's great. I hate the model. I think they're crappy looking. They look like they came out of a Cracker Jack toy box. I really do not like Centurions, but I bought them. I revamped my whole army and embraced Grav. You know, and combi Gravs and blah, blah. I had extra tactical marines with Grav cannons and Grav guns and combi meltas and, you know, things that were more meta-worthy. And my win ratio was probably 49-51, 51-49, something like that. So half. I'll take half. 50% is pretty good. And we're talking like not getting blown out on turn 2, which has been happening recently in my more competitive, or with my more competitive players that I've dealt with in 8th. So in 7th, that was happening. You know, I was getting obliterated. I'll take a 50-50 in any game. That's pretty good, because half the time I'm winning, half the time I'm losing, and the games are probably pretty good, going to turn, 5 or something like that. Finally embraced all that. Then 8th edition hit, and took a giant Emperor Golden Throne size shit on my Ultramarines. Like, Grav is crap. Say what you want about it, it's crap. It's not worth taking. It's so bad. It is so bad. So now I'm in a position where that army was subpar because of what I had to do to be relevant in 7th, which I didn't want to do. I wasn't trying to play tournaments, but I also wanted to stand a reasonable chance on the tabletop. Revamped, and then basically got told, do it again. And I was like, I don't want to. I've already done this, and that's not the first time. I've sold off part of my Ultramarines to rebuy Ultramarines to repaint Ultramarines, and then I sold more stuff to buy Grav stuff to repaint that stuff, and no. So hit that wall, and I was like, I'm gonna play Dark Angels, and there were a few other factors that came in there. Jason Murray from the Garrison is really what tipped me over. The fluff, waterfall that sent me spiraling down into this lake, this sea of Dark Angels, love and fluff and miniatures that I really enjoy. He helped push me there, but I was in a really fragile state because Ultramarines were my first army. I loved them. I still think their fluff and stuff is cool, but Dark Angels got me on the fluff side. Problem is, I built the army, and then all of a sudden, TAC Marines are getting no love. They're absolute crap. Intercessors are like 4 points more, plus 6-inch range, plus an extra wound, and -1 AP on their guns. They're just better. And if you're using that beta bolter rule, they don't even have to move. At 30 inches, they're dishing out in a 10-man squad, 20 shots of -1 AP, 6-inch longer range bolters over tactical marines. And for 4 points more per model, why wouldn't you? You lose access to putting them in rhinos, but meh, but now I'm in the position like the Ultramarines where I'm going to have to, or potentially facing having to rebuild aspects of my army again. I don't like that. I think that's stupid, personally. Now, if my army composition was dumb and tactically just not sound to begin with, I get it. Having to make some adjustments, but I don't like the idea that certain minis are so much better than other minis that certain minis you just can't play with. That's dumb. Like, I should be able to, anyone should be able to take minis from any game, paint them, and play with them, and with some degree of competent list building, do reasonably okay. But I feel like, and maybe it's just my experience, maybe you guys have something different, and that's cool. But for me, I feel like they really want you to buy the new stuff, and I'm okay with that. I have bought some of the new stuff. I don't want to feel like all my investments in the old stuff was worthless. I don't like that. I want to be able to use all of my toys. I'm going to go buy the new Primaris sniper dudes and librarian dudes that they just previewed at LVO. I'm going to buy the Chaos stuff and the stupidly awesome Obliterator. He will be in my Iron Warriors army. I'm not going to refuse to buy the new cool stuff and want to play with it. What I don't want is to be forced to buy the cool new stuff because my old stuff is crap. I don't like that. It really agitates me. And for new players getting into 40K that can just buy the new units, that's fine. But for the vets, it's hard. And I'm in a position where it keeps happening. It's happened with Tau when I had Tau. It's happened with the Ultramarines constantly. Now it's happening with the Dark Angels. So, that long-winded rant's basically me saying I'm trying to find different ways to go about this without having to feel like I have to invest more and scrap of what I've painted for now. I don't like that. And maybe I need to play a little bit of Kill Team. Maybe my Tactical Marines will fare better there. I don't know. But I still want to be able to play large-scale 40K. So with that being said, though, folks, we're going to whip it around, though, and spin this in a more positive direction. And before we do that, if you have any comments, critiques, suggestions on what I'm talking about with my struggles with the Dark Angels and playing Warhammer 40K, post them down below. Let me know what I can do to improve. If you say something like, just get good, or, you know, something to do with your mindset, that's not going to help. You know, I'm looking for constructive criticism and critiques here. So, but now we'll go ahead and spin around, and I'll show you guys what I did do this week, which is a bit more in a positive direction, and maybe we'll end this vlog on a slightly happier time than woe is me, the sky is falling, and my Warhammer experience is bad. So let's whip it around and show you guys what I got done this week. Alright, so for all you guys that have been following me on Twitch land and keeping up with what I've been doing, or if you remember the Garrison or both, you know that I've been working on these bikers for a long time. And I've shown them in my vlogs multiple times too. I paint really slow, and I apologize. But finally, this past weekend, I got them all finished. So we've got I got 2 units of Scout Bikers done. So here's Sergeant for Unit 1. And we've got Sergeant for Unit 2. And I really do like these. I think, you know, in our previous Woe Is Me segment there, I was talking about how I was struggling with my army. I do think the bikes are going to help a bit. And you guys will get to see a battle report soon. Whoops! Where I did get, let's just drop these twice. But I did get a battle report done recently. Again, the one with Nathan, which you guys will get to see, I believe, this coming Saturday. And I did get to field the Scout Bikers for the first time. I think for their points, they may even be a little bit cheap to field. But for their points, especially when you're running the new beta bolter rule, each one of these guys is always firing 4 shots from these bolters because they've got 2 twin bolters. So, ooh, if I did that right. I think they just have 2 shots and then at rapid fire range 4. And then they've got their shotgun at 12-inch range, which is 2 shots. So it is a lot of firepower for the points that you invest. The downside is they are only armor 4, and they do not get the Ravenwing Jink special rule, which for Ravenwing means if they advance, they get a 4-up invuln save. They don't get that, but they are really cheap. They also have access to cluster mines, so these guys can charge in, or even be charged, and if they fall out of combat, I can use my stratagem and I can deal mortal wounds to a model that was within 1 inch of them, which is pretty cool. But if you're running them and you can keep them, or keep Azrael up with them to some degree, or daisy chain one of these guys to get that invuln save, they're a lot more resilient, because then they're not having to advance like the Ravenwing do to get their invuln save, and they're able to keep the resilience up. So that's very nice. I do like those. And in the game with Nathan this last week, I was able to drop 2 Tactical Marines, 2 Plasma Cannons, and 1 unit of Scouts? 2 units of Scouts? Over the game that I played with Tim, I was able to drop 1 unit of Scouts and 2 Tac Bros and 2 Plasma Cannons, and I was able to bring in all 6 of the Scout Bikers, which I lost 7 infantry and gained 6 bikers. So I netted 5 extra wounds because of 2 wounds apiece, and I lost the Plasma Cannons, but to be honest, Plasma Cannons aren't all that great. If I could take 2 Plasma Guns in a tactical squad over Plasma Cannon and Plasma Gun, I would. But that's neither here nor there now. So my point is, I really like these. You're going to see them a lot more because they're cheap for me. They're objective grabbers. They're a nuisance that you can't just ignore, and if you do ignore them, they will do annoying things and disrupt stuff. So I do like that. If anything, I might even be able to use more of them if I wanted to make the investment. But right now, I want to get other things painted. We did get my 2 units of Black Knights done. So here is the Sergeant or Huntmaster, whatever he's called, for squad number 2. And I really did enjoy painting these. I was agitated a little bit with the primer, because when I primed them, it got a little bit cold in the shop, and the primer came out a little bit granular. So you can't really see that much from the camera, but in person you can see that there's a little bit of a grit look to the paint, which isn't terrible, but it's a frustration for me and my OCD. But it is what it is at this point. I think the OSL really popped really came together. I'm glad I did not opt to do OSL on the headlight, because I think it would have just been too much. 2 sources of different color OSL on the front of this I think would have been too much. So just having it kind of with a sheen to it, I put a little gloss varnish over it to make it just look like that's the glass or plastic casing of the light is cool, and then have the emphasis on the glow. I might come back and do a little bit of blood spatter on the I think they're called Corvus hammers, something like that. But I'm not sure. I might just say these guys are done and not go back and do anything else to them. But there's that guy, and I've got several more. So here's one of my grenade launcher bros. No OSL on there, but we got the lenses and stuff on the front. Got his grenade, and I believe in the tabletop, the grenade launcher has the option to potentially do mortal wounds if it's directed at a character. All right, so we've got a second grenade launcher back here. Beep, beep, beep. He's got his bolt pistol. So thinking he looks cool. The plasma ones, though, the ones with the plasma talons are really where it's at for me. They look so cool. That OSL turned out really well. I don't get too excited about my minis very often. Usually I OCD out over them, but these particular bros turned out, woo, man, just dropping everything today. These particular bros turned out really, really well. And one of the things you may notice when I flip them, there's a little bit of dust down here. There's a little bit of weathering pigment that is down across the bottoms of the bikes and the wheels. Kind of give it a little bit of a dusty look, you know, and it's made it to where almost like a graphite powder is what it feels like. These guys are a little slippery right now, and that'll probably go away as I play with them. The powder is kind of sealed, or you hit it with an alcohol, and it helps bind it to the plastic, so it doesn't really come off. But the bottom will, because this hasn't been bonded. So, yep, these guys turn out pretty good, and I've got 8 of them, so 2 units of 4. The decals turned out pretty well too. You guys can see that. We were talking about that on stream. If you guys aren't following me over on Twitch land, you should check me out. Our battle reports go up on Saturday if we have one, and it will premiere there before it goes live anywhere else. And I paint Tuesday evenings, Saturday evenings, and Sundays. So if you guys want to see me do any of this stuff live, or just hang out and get your hobby juices flowing, check me out over on Twitch. But yeah, we had talked about decals on Twitch, and Jojo Fallback, one of my mods from Twitchland, and also one of the guys that hangs out with us over at Death Ray Designs, was asking about them and had some issues where his were hazing, and in an hour I did all the decals that needed to be done on these, start to finish, no hazing, no crazy wait time. So letting him know that it is possible. And the crown jewel of the Black Knights here is Brother Sergeant, or Brother Huntmaster, whatever his designation would be in the Army, Martinek. He is named after one of my stream viewers and followers who's been around for a bit. I took a long hiatus from Twitchland and streaming. Long story short, last year around July, I hit an apex of like depression and anxiety, and I quit everything and withdrew. And my first day back from streaming in, I think it was January this year, on my first night back, and you got those, jitters and the Murphy's Law when it comes to things going wrong with your stream and your rig. And this guy, Martinek from the stream, he comes in, makes a very sizable donation to the stream, and just kind of lurks, and he hangs out. And it was an unbelievable experience, because for me, I'm not used to people who are really kind like that. Like, people are nice, but like, you never met me. You may never ever get to play a tabletop game with me, and you come in and you throw some money my way to help support what I do. That's incredibly generous, and the opposite of what my cynical brain seems to think, right? So he did that donation on my first day back. The models I was working on my first day back, these models and the Scout Bikers. First models I finished since I've been back to Twitch, these models. And I thought only fitting to commemorate and immortalize his contribution to the stream and what I do by naming the coolest of the Black Knights here after him. So he'll be the leader of Squad 1, and this is Brother Martinek. And that will fill out our 2 4-man units of Black Knights, which on the tabletop are very expensive to field, but all the plasma is really good. So I think these will be a good addition to my army. Going back to our discussion about trying to improve as a Dark Angel player, the problem is Space Marines, it's a quantity versus quality thing. Like, you get quality, other people get quantity, and I can put these bikes in and they do a good job, but are they going to do enough compared to other armies who have lots of cheap things to gum these guys up with? So now, moving forward, to give you guys some insight into what you might be seeing me work on and field in upcoming battle reports when it's done, we've got the Dark Shroud here, which is not done. That's actually not cocked in there, but I'm working on it. I've got to get the shoulders painted that aren't on here, and on here throw a decal or two. Finish up most of the details on this and do some of these lenses down here and lenses up here, and then get this guy done and ready for the tabletop. This is a necessary evil for the Dark Angels. You got to have the Dark Shroud to help support your stuff. You know, as I just mentioned previously, it's a quantity versus quality thing where Space Marines have the quality but not the quantity. So anything you can do to try and mitigate incoming shots or damage to your minis to try and keep them alive keeps your quality stuff on the table longer. So we will have that we will be hopefully finishing soon, and we'll be working on Twitch land. And finally, the last thing we want to talk about today are these bad boys. Now, you guys from Twitch land may be familiar, but you guys in YouTube and Facebook land may not. We did just finally get our gamer packs finished. So they come with a variety of really cool things, and I want to showcase these during my vlog today because I annoyed the piss out of Austin until they got done. So we've got our Deep Strike Denial stick, which is a 9-inch stick, and this is really good for shutting down, or at least knowing and maximizing placement for where incoming infiltrators and deep strikers might be. So it's exactly 9 inches, and if they have to be outside of 9, they can't be touching the stick, from base to base. So we've got our pretty cool movement widget here. We got an 8-inch, 1-inch, 3-inch, and 6-inch side, so real good for quick movements for units. And it also kind of looks like a laser gun. Pew pew. So that's pretty sweet. We've got our close combat widget here. It's got a 1/2-inch side, which is really good for War Machine. 3-inch, which is good for consolidation and pile-ins. 1-inch for making sure you are in an inch away or just touching an inch, so you get inside of melee combat. And 2-inch for coherency's sake. So all those really tight small measurements, we got that close combat widget for you. Comes in the gamer pack as well. You're gonna get in the gamer pack a boomerang, as we call it. And it keeps track of your victory points, 0 to 29. Your command points, which is, I believe, 0 to 15. Yep, so that might be a little bit low, but probably good enough for most average armies. Your turn marker, which goes up to 15, which you will never need, but this will be really good for Warhammer 40K or a variety of other tabletops. Keep track of things. Get one of those. Also in the gamer pack, you will get 2 of these large wound counters that goes from 0 to 29. You get 2 of those. You'll get 10 of these 1-inch ones that are 0 to 15. Really good for keeping track of vehicles and really high wound HQs. And then the final really awesome thing that comes in the gamer pack are these really sweet objective tokens. So you'll get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. And they look really, really cool. And one of the things that's nice about these is there's a dot dead center. So when you're measuring for if you're inside 3, you just put your little measuring thing right up to the dot, and you can use a measuring tape for that too. But this is kind of your one-stop shop to invest in really solid movement widgets that help you out, and trackers for your command points, your victory points, your turn marker, and your wounds for all your infantry. And then to throw down some really cool objective tokens while you're at it. These are going to be limited run. We're only going to make X number of them, and then the future waves may be different colors, different designs, or different acrylic, things like that. So the overall design itself may be the same, but the artistic approach may be different on different runs. So if you want to check these out, I'll throw a link in the description below for you. All right, so I think we've hit a little bit more of a high point in the vlog today, in that we started out kind of in a derpy mode about Warhammer 40K, and then talking about the Scout Bikers and the Black Knights and the Dark Shroud, and Brother Martinek from Twitchland has really got my spirits up. I'm feeling a little bit better. You guys can still leave me some critiques and so forth in the comments. But before we get off the the vlog today, before I sign off, I think I'd like to showcase some of the stuff you guys from the Garrison have shown off this week. If you're not a member of the Garrison, make sure you come check it out. It's the Facebook group that I'm running for myself as well as Deathray Designs, where we're trying to have all of you guys that are into Warhammer 40K or want to follow us or just, kind of want to hang out, give you guys a place to facilitate that, to do that. At the top of the page, we've also got a pinned post with other streamers that we like and want to support. And if you want to check them out or check me out, that's the place to go. Additionally, if you ever really want to interact with us in a slightly more informal, kind of casual way, you can do that in our Facebook group or in our Discord page. So, but with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over and look at some of the stuff that you guys from the Garrison have done this week. First up, we're going to take a look at some minis from Justin Daff, brother Justin Daff, Wolf Lord Daff from the Garrison, somebody that I take credit for indoctrinating into 40K. He's got a baby on the way, and he still managed to find money for Warhammer, and I'm pretty sure it's my fault. He's been hanging out in the stream for a long time. Even in my Exodus, he kept his subscription up and was really trying to support me, and I really appreciate it. And I think he deserves some props for getting into Warhammer. He finally did. He was doing D&D and painting D&D and Reaper minis and stuff like that. He's now taking the plunge into the dark, deep abyss of Warhammer 40K. But at the bottom of that abyss, there is some ounce of happiness. So let's go ahead and check out what he's working on for the Wolves of Rust here. So he's got a pretty sweet-looking Contemptor Dreadnought here that he's working on. He's got some interesting basing. And one of the things I really like about it, I even mentioned it on Facebook in a comment, was that he swapped out the helmet for a Space Wolf Marine head. And one of the things to point out about this is the Horus Heresy plastic easy fit Contemptor, so he's limited on posability, aka the legs and so forth don't move, the torso won't move, its arms will. And I also believe it doesn't come with a posable helmet. I don't think it does. I could be wrong, but he had mentioned that this one was difficult to shave everything and get it to where that head goes in. But I am really pleased with the way this has turned out. It looks super cool, and I'm really excited to see him finish that. And Daff, I'm also curious to know what you're going to do for basing. I see like the stuff that would look like rocks. Are you going to do any snow? I love Space Wolves with snow. You can't go wrong with snow. Also with snow, for me personally, I really like to see a little bit of fresh grass with snow because it gives the illusion that like maybe the snow's melting and spring is coming, or maybe it's a fresh snow or something like that over fresh grass. Just something about that bright green contrasting with the white snow, for me personally, looks really good. Or even some of the bleached kind of dead grass looks really good too because it breaks up all that white. So he's also got some, I don't know, the Space Wolf version of Tactical Marines. I don't remember what those are called, but he's got some. And I believe this guy with the Frost Axe or Power Axe is supposed to be his representation of me and his army. Hopefully he rolls better with that model than I do in Warhammer 40K. Don't let him die, Daff. Cheat the dice rolls. Brother Justin, Brother Amp, whatever you want to call me in your army, needs to survive. Hopefully he's not going to survive when I shoot at him with Dark Angels. Sad day. That's like a paradox. Moving on. So he's got some really sweet looking dudes. I know that he is in the process of, or am I the one with the Thunderhammer and the Storm Shield? Which one am I, Daff? I need you to let me know. Let me know. Anyways, I'm one of these fellas he mentioned. But yeah, he's also mentioned, I believe he is picking up some Thunderwolf Cavalry to expand his army, which is also ultra exciting. I'm a big fan of those models and can't wait to see what he does with those. I'd also be curious to know, Daff, what's your experience been painting with on these so far? I know you've been kind of dealing with Reaper minis, and I think it's Pathfinder minis you've been doing, which is what, WizKids? Something like that? You've been working on that, or D&D minis? What is your experience so far with Warhammer? Quality-wise and paint-wise, different palettes, stuff like that. Are you enjoying it? Let us know. Drop some comments. All right, so moving on from Daff's contribution to this week's vlog, we've got a pretty sweet Dark Eldar mini posted by Kenny, specifically Kenny Wilkinson. So Kenny, this looks really, really sweet, dude. I would be curious to know what you're going to do for the basing, so you should let us know. Drop a comment. And is this a commission model, which I believe you do quite a bit of, or is this for a personal, or of a personal nature? One thing that's interesting to note is I absolutely hate Dark Eldar. From some fluff perspectives from one of the books that I read that had a main character, a main villain that was a Dark Eldar guy, but doesn't take away from your awesome paint job. I'm also not a big fan of Slaanesh. It's kind of the opposite of my attitude on most things. So, but let us know. What are you going to do with the basing? And do you have any more models you're going to be working on for Dark Eldar? I almost said Dark Angels. That would have been blasphemy. But yeah, let us know. Drop some comments, and thank you for sharing. Make sure you share some more. We'd like to see what you're working on. The next mini we want to showcase here is real exciting. This is from Jeff Billingsley, and Jeff is Psycho from Twitchland. It's his name. He shares so much stuff. It's super awesome. He's painting all the time, and he's painted so many things. He's painted Infinity. He's been painting Blood Bowl. He's been painting, I think this is not a test, I believe, at Warhammer 40K. He does Gaslands. He does slot cars, and he's doing terrain for his orcs with conversion. So super duper sweet. And this is actually one of our, I believe, Rapid Vanguard turrets that he has orcified for some of his miniatures. And this looks really good, dude. This is actually a really good example of what you can do with MDF and it not look like MDF. This is stellar. I really appreciate it. And my favorite thing about it is one barrel has a missile with a sad face and the other barrel has a missile with a happy face. That's clever. Nicely done, dude. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. To wrap up this week's showcase, since we finally got one in for a vlog, we had enough miniatures posted that I could grab some and talk about them. I'd like to talk about Sith from Twitchland, John Rhodes from the Garrison. He has posted an Iron Hands miniature that he was working on. I believe his local shop is running some type of competition or painting challenge type thing where you paint a Space Marine hero. I think something like that. If I got that wrong, correct me and let me know. My friend from the UK drinks a lot of beer over there. I know you do. But anyway, let's take a look at this guy. He looks really, really sweet. Are you using this as a plasma cannon or a giant plasma gun? What house rules are you doing? Because this is obviously a proxy. It's not a Hellblaster. It's using a Hellblaster gun. The mod that you did to get it to fit turned out really, really well. I'm certainly digging it. And the green glow is a different take on the plasma as well. So I'd be really curious to know what you're kind of proxying that as, which is really cool. Additionally, what do you think you're going to do for the basing on this guy? You going to use some DRD base toppers? You know you want to. You know a place that sells those. But let us know what you're going to do. I'd be curious to know, especially share some pictures of it when it's done. That's a pretty sweet conversion, man. Nicely done. You made everything fit pretty seamlessly. All right, folks, I think that's going to conclude my vlog for this week. I'd like to thank all you guys who shared your photos of your minis and stuff like that in the Garrison this week. I would like to encourage you to share more. If you're out there playing any battle reports, getting some hobby stuff on, take photos, share with us. Doesn't matter what the quality is or what exactly is going on. We all have a lot in common, and you know, we all like to enjoy what other people are doing. At least for me, specifically, it's a vicarious thing. I get to live through you guys for a moment. I get to see models that you're painting and enjoy your excitement, especially if it's models I may never get to paint. And, you know, game setups, scenarios, in shops that I may never get to play at. I get to live that through you for a brief moment. As always, though, if you haven't already and you're watching this over on YouTube, make sure you smash that little subscribe button and ding the bell next to it so you get alerts when we go live. If you're watching this over on Facebook, make sure you like our page. That would be great. It really does help us out. And in both places, if there's anything you'd like to you know, let me know about how I can get better, or you know, some type of critique, or just want to drop a comment and just say what the hell, whatever you want, leave us a comment on Facebook or YouTube as well. That would be super sweet. If you want to support what I'm doing to keep me employed, check out deathraydesigns.com. You can see those pretty sweet base toppers that I show, or not base toppers, geez. You can see those widgets and dials, our gamer pack over there that's fresh up. We're gonna have some dice trays up soon as well. Maybe even a dice tower and some brand new terrain. The Riddles Reach stuff that you've seen in some of our battle reports, which may get rebranded as New Ceres. I'm not sure what Austin's going to do yet, but keep your eyes peeled for that. Additionally, make sure you use that GetAmped10 coupon code. For all you guys who hang out and support me, you should enjoy that reward by saving a little bit of your hard-earned cash so you have more to spend on your energy drinks, your beers, or maybe just more paints and models. With that being said, I think we're going to sign off today, folks. I hope you guys are having an awesome week. Thank you for hanging out. And let's use our signature Twitch sign-off again today. I'd like to encourage you guys to try and leave the world a better place than you found it, and apply that philosophy to your hobbying and gaming groups as well. Make sure whatever you do with whoever you're doing it with, in regards to pretty much everything in life, make sure when you leave the room or you leave their presence that you know you left a lasting good impression on them. There's too much negativity in the world, so make sure you're a part of the positivity and a part of the positive hobby and gaming group that you want to enjoy and be. So with that being said, guys, thanks for hanging out and happy wargaming.